It is Jo from Minerva, and today I am here to do a tutorial to take you through how to use a 3-step buttonhole on your sewing machine or an automatic buttonhole if you have one of those on your machine. We're going to get straight onto it today, but if you can make buttonholes confidently, then that opens up a whole new world of patterns that you can choose from where you are not frightened of putting buttonholes on your final garment. First up, we're going to do the 3-step buttonhole because I think that shows the construction of how the buttonhole is made, and that will help you to understand the shape and the direction which you're aiming for. It's always a good idea to get your manual out. You can read through it, and if that's not making sense, then maybe seeing it in real time will help match the actions to the instructions. Some machines might have different types of buttonholes, so you might have stretch buttonholes, keyhole buttonholes, and buttonholes for woven fabric, and you'll be able to find out all that information in your manual. I'm able to use my camera holder today so I can hopefully get nice and close to my machine foot and show you the shape and the dials and all of the settings to get a great buttonhole. Let's think about what we're aiming for. So if we've got a buttonhole, on a 3-step buttonhole, we need to make a bar tack first. Then our machine will take us backwards in a zigzag stitch. We will select a bar tack at the end, and then we need to select to return back to the beginning, and we can also do a few bar tacks to finish off. So we'll be starting here, 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 and here. This way and this way. Let's see how that translates to the dial on the machine. So we're going to start with the center here. That will give us the bar tack. Then we go to B. That will zigzag up one side. It gives the arrow direction. Then we go back to the center. That's C to make the bar tack at the top. And then we go to D, where we take the bar tack back to the beginning. This arrow shows it coming back to the beginning. And all 3 of those stages make number 1, which is the buttonhole. So we're going to be turning this dial in between each movement of the buttonhole. I'm using a woven cotton today. It's a Minerva exclusive print called Floral Expressions. It's their cotton sateen, and it's a sort of cross between a poplin and a lawn. So it's a kind of structured soft cotton. I'm going to make this buttonhole here. I'm going to make it really big so that you can see the actions. And I'm first of all going to start where I've marked the start of the buttonhole. I'm on A because that makes the bar tack. I don't need a special foot or anything for this because I'm going to be changing the dial each time I wanted to do a different part of the buttonhole. So first we start with a bar tack, and then your needle needs to land on the left. Just bring your needle up so that you don't bend it. You see it bending there. Bring it back down. Sew up to the top of your buttonhole. We're back on the center one. So now we're on C. Need to make sure the needle is now on the right. And we can do a few bar tacks at the end. Here's the buttonhole. It's really clean. You can see where the chalk lines are through the foot, so you know when to start and stop. That's how you use a 3-step buttonhole on your machine. And now hopefully when you read the instructions, the actions will match up. It's based on this little diagram here. Next up, we're going to try the automatic buttonhole. So you will see here I've got a few different styles. Some of them are for stretch, some of them are for woven, and I've got a couple of different shaped ones as well. You can check out what they're for in your manual if you've got more than one buttonhole selection on your machine. I'm going to use buttonhole 35. And I need to put my buttonhole foot on. The buttonhole foot will enable the sensor to measure between these two notches, and you can also measure the size of your button. When you put your button in here, then it makes the correct distance between these two pieces of plastic, so the sensor can touch the one, sew, touch the other, and then sew back again. The button goes at the back and your foot is installed. Before you sew, the next crucial part is to pull down the sensor so that it's touching the plastic at the front, and then when it sews, when this sensor touches the back, it knows to turn around and sew back the other way. On my machine, if I don't have the sensor on and I try to sew, it will give me an error beep to remind me to pull the sensor down. It's always good to test your buttonhole on a scrap piece before you go directly to your garment. On this one, I just need to know the start position because the button in the back of the foot is doing the measuring for me. But it's always good to do it on a spare one because it just reminds you that wherever you sew from, it's going to go backwards. You can use some of the markings on the plate to make sure that you're not getting your buttonhole on at an angle. Start with the needle down and sew. Don't need to push or pull the fabric while it's making the buttonhole because the feed dogs are working with the sensor to create the buttonhole that you've asked for. Automatic buttonholes tend to be a little bit stronger. You might have noticed it does a line of stay stitching first and then it zigzags over the top, whereas this one is a little weaker. The zigzags aren't quite as close together as I might like them, and because I can't change them, then that's what I get. This one has much more of a satiny finish. Probably easy to see on the back. That's how you use your automatic buttonholer. You need to make sure you've got your button measured in the back and your sensor pulled down to enable it to locate the stitch selection that you have chosen. I thought while I was at the machine, I'll also show you how to use a button foot. So this foot will help you to put flat buttons onto garments. So if you've got lots and lots on a shirt dress, you can do it on your machine. It won't put on shanked buttons. Shank buttons need to be put on by hand sewing. This is a buttonhole foot. It's got the bar in that is attached to the foot shank. It's got a little piece you can hold. And you need to have that open toe bit at the front because that's where the stitches are going to go side to side. I'm going to sew the button on, and the first thing I need to do is to measure the distance between the two holes. You can be quite accurate with this kind of seam gauge because there's 2 points, so you can make sure they land inside the holes. The holes are 3mm apart, so we need that measurement to do our stitch selection. I need a zigzag stitch, and it needs to be 3mm wide because that's the distance between my 2 buttonholes, but I don't want it to travel. I want it to be like a bar tack. I just want it to go side to side, side to side, side to side. Position your button and clamp it down with the foot. Now, before you press the foot pedal, it's a really good idea to see where your needle lands, because you'll break a needle off and it can be pretty dangerous. So check that you're getting clearance with your needle, and to the other side. Yep, getting it on the other side. So what I'm doing now with the hand wheel is what's going to happen when I press the foot pedal. Go carefully, because if you go fast then you might rattle the button and move the position of the holes. You can pull your threads through and tie them off on the back. This is good for slim fabrics because it doesn't create a shank on the back like you can mimic with hand sewing. So if you've got a thicker fabric, it's not very good because there isn't much room between the fabric and the button for a thick coat layer. So say if you're making a boiled wool coat, then it would be tricky to get another layer of fabric underneath there, and then your buttons look like they're sinking in and they pucker around the outside. But for flat buttons on shirts, it's absolutely perfect. If you'd like to know more about buttonholes, you can go to the Minerva.com YouTube channel, and because there's lots of videos on there now, if you use the search button and put buttonholes, then you'll see related content. So you can find out how to cut and mark buttonholes, how to sew stretch buttonholes, how to sew bound buttonholes, how to sew hand sewn buttonholes. Do join us again for more Learn to Sew tutorials. You can go and have a look at the other buttonhole ones if you want to expand your knowledge, or if there's something that you'd like to find out and you think you might use it in a future project. Do make a free account over on Minerva.com website. You'll be able to join in with the whole of our sewing community. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.